So the goal of this course is an introduction to UX UI design. We will see what is UX and UI, the difference between UX and UI, and what is UX research and why is it important, and how to judge a good design from a bad design, and then we'll see a bunch of examples. So UX stands for user experience and UI stands for user interface. To clarify the difference between user experience and user interface, let's see a concrete example. Let's say, for example, that you have you see this web page. So there are a lot of elements that are assigned to user interface. For example, the typography, which font is used, the spacing between each element, for example, between this input and the call to action, between each text and the other text, the colors, what is the primary color, which where do you use each color, and the icons. So all these elements, and there are others, are part of the UI. But there are other elements. There is part of the app, but they are less visible. For example, and the UX research, UX design is all the what are the user needs from this application, who are the target users, the wireframes, the user flow. For example, before designing this app, this web page, we do user flow, we do wireframes. So concretely, before starting to design, we do something like this wireframes. Not always. There is the UI design part that we have just seen, the typography, the spacing, etc. And there is the testing part of to make sure that this application or this website answer the user's needs and satisfy. So as we have seen, there is the UI design part, which includes the typography, spacing, colors, icons, and there is the UX design, which include the UI design parts, but a lot more. This process is sequential. It means that we do research before doing brainstorming, then we do the UI design, then we do the testing, but it's also recursive. It means that I can, for example, if I find a problem while doing the testing and the usability testing, it is highly recommended to go back to brainstorming, for example, and review the user flows and the wireframes. And the same, if the UI design does not match what we want, we can go back to wireframes, etc. So it's iterative. So to summarize, the UI design is the visible part of an application or a website, but there is a lot more things that we do not see when we are opening a website. For example, the website objective, the user needs that we need to satisfy, the functional specifications, the architecture. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's like the back end of the design.
Yeah, it's
in the UX process.
Yeah, exactly. It's the logic and the mind, you can say, behind the UI.
The kind of the back end.
Yeah.
But in the UX field.
Yeah, except that the UI is part of the UX. Sometimes when we talk in development, in front end and back end, they are separated. But in this case, the UI is a part of the UX. Why is it important to specify this
distinctions between the UI is UX, because there is a lot of confusion between the two terms. And also on when you go on social media, and people do not they there is a lot of misunderstanding. So that's why it is important to know exactly which what is done in each part of, of the process. Let's say, for example, a process that clarifies the difference between UI UX. And let me give a misconception of an image that is a lot used in social media, that this is the UI and this is the UX, which is wrong, because these are, both of them, they are UIs. UIs is what you interact with as a user. So you as a user, you have two user interface. This is an interface and this is an interface. So this is wrong because they are both interface, except that this has a bad UX and this one has a good UX, depending of what is your need. So for example, if your need is to put a certain amount of ketchup on your sandwich and you don't want to get messy, this will give you a good user experience and this one will give you a bad user experience. But the good and bad UX depend on the needs. For example, if you want to smash someone's head with a bottle of ketchup, this will be a good UX and this will be a bad UX. So depending on your objective. Let's say another. Let's give another example. So here we have two UIs, and we have clearly one that looks modern, that looks good, and one that looks very bad, with some random colors, with some very bad fonts. And let's say, for example, that you are working with you are using this interface every day of your life in your work or so. And let's say, for example, that this one takes you 2 minutes to accomplish. When you click on pay invoice, it takes 2 minutes of loading, but this one takes 2 seconds. Which one will you prefer? It is highly probable that you will choose this one, even though that it has a bad UI, because the user experience is not only the UI, is, for example, the loading time is part of the user experience, and all these elements are a part of the UI, the user experience. But don't get me wrong on this point, because the UI, it doesn't mean that the UI is not important. The UI is very important. In fact, there is a law in UX that is called the aesthetic usability effect, and that says that users often perceive aesthetically pleasing design as design that is more usable. It means that if I gave for a user a pleasing design, it is high probable that he will perceive this design as more usable. And this law was done by researchers in 2010, and where they have gave two UIs with the same functionalities, one good UI and one bad UI, but they have the same functionality, the same features, and the users, testers, have seen, have observed, have thought that this one is more usable, and even that they have perceived that this one is more, the functionalities are done more easier with this UI than with this one, even though that it's the same features and feasibility. So to conclude, beautiful UIs are perceived to be more performant and create a positive response in humans' brain. People are more tolerant to minor usability problems where they are faced to a good UI. So it is very important to have a good user interface. Next, what is UX research and why is it important? So UX research includes several methods. For example, eye tracking, usability testing, A/B testing, card sorting, interviews. So we will see examples of some of them. For example, eye tracking, usability testing, A/B testing, but we will not see all of them, like card sorting and interviews in this call. So this is the eye tracking method that is used in as a UX research method. Is when we conduct research to see what are the parts of the UI that have more focus from the users. So for example, this is a Wikipedia page, and we see that the part of the page that takes more focus is this first text area, this part of the image, this image. So it is very important so that if I want to give an important information, for example, in a Wikipedia page, it is important to give it in this section, or put an image in these sections so that the user don't miss it. This is another user eye tracking testing for a Google page, and you see that the users read following the F pattern, and so that this shows that the first keyword that I used in my title of my web page is very important, because it's more likely.
Mr. Bashir,
Yes.
is the eye tracking?
Sorry, this is
The eye tracking.
The part.
It is not. I heard it's something similar, like the heat map or something like that. I heard about it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the heat map is the result of the eye tracking exercise. So we do an eye tracking exercise to determine a heat map. So this is the heat map that is obtained after doing the eye tracking. Is it clear?
So you mean like the eye tracking give us the results by the heat map, or it's the heat map like a tool? You mean?
Yeah, the eye tracking is the process, and the heat map is the result. Okay.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Welcome. So, yeah. So this gives us good information. For example, if you want to be for your users to click on your website, to really choose your first word. For example, when on the search engines. This is another eye tracking and A/B testing that is done on an ad, and you see that the difference between the two images is that this person is looking at the product in the right ad, and is looking directly at the camera in the left side. So so sometimes you cannot determine which one is good. That's why it is important to do this exercise and determine. So you see that when the person is looking at the product, the people are tend to look where other people look. So they discovered that this one is the one to go with because it gives more highlights and more focus on the brand name. So rather than this one where the person looks directly at the camera. So this eye tracking methods are done with advanced tools like this, but today we have other tools. So we have, for example, these glasses, but these are also too complicated to do. So there are plugins on Figma that you can use, or where AI will generate for you the heat maps for your app. There are many plugins. This is I will share with you after some plugins that you can use, and that will determine the heat map of your designs. Another thing that UX research method is the A/B testing. For example, if you and your team do not agree, if you need to name your button add to cart or buy now. So you need to do, or you want your button to be yellow or blue. For example, you think that blue is more beautiful, but when doing the A/B testing, you discover that the yellow one has a 50 has a bigger conversion rate. So you should go with the left one, even though the right one for you looks more beautiful and yeah. So always trust the data and do A/B testing and base your designs on real data. This is what happens when you don't do user testing. For example, you might look as a design that is beautiful, but when the user tests it, they will not like it, or they will find it harmful. This is another misconception about this, that this is the UX and this is the design, but this is false, because this is a design without testing. So the architects suppose that the user will go from here, and this is the user behavior. So when you don't do user testing, the user behavior can go away from what you have designed, or the design you have, the things that you have in mind. So how to judge a good design? To judge a good design, there are many things, but this is one of them. So you make sure that what you have designed is feasible in terms of technically feasible. If you have junior developers and if you have senior developers, it's not the same thing. So always make sure you know your developers and their skills. Make sure it's desirable for people and people are willing to use it. That's why it is important to do the user testing we have just seen. And viable, it means that the product cost is what the product is revenue is bigger than the product cost. Some rules about UI design: you are not the users. This is a sarcastic image, but it can be true. It says hold your finger, but the user, instead of putting his finger on the phone, he holds his finger literally. So rule number one: you are not the users, and it does mean two things. You, as a designer, should always test your designs, because you are not the users and you don't know how the users will react. The second thing is that users are not you. It means that do not take solutions from the users. Take problems from the users, take the user needs, but do not take the solution. Do not let the users tell you how to design something, because you are the designers, they are not the designers. They know their problems, you know the solution. Always keep it simple. You remember this this remote control we all had when we were children, and it's too complicated. There are buttons that you will never use, and you know that you will never use. And sometimes, if you want to find a button, it's too complicated. But this one is simple, and you should know that each feature you add will have a bad impact on all other features. So there is a law called Hicks law, and it says that the time take to respond will increase dependent of the number of options. For example, if I tell you, do you want coffee or tea, the answer is pretty. You will give me an answer pretty fast. But if I tell you, do you want ananas juice or orange juice or apple juice, and I give you 50 number of juices, the decision will be a lot will take a lot more of time. So this is very applicable to when you are designing. Don't give a lot of options. Don't always stick to a smaller number of options. And also, when designing features, you should know that each feature you add will have an impact on all other features. So, for example, this is what people do when they are faced. For example, for these people have done this for their grandparents, because to tell them that this is all the buttons you need. You don't have to go more than that. So forget about all of this. So sometimes you do the same when you're designing your apps, and you tend to forget and ignore all the other elements you don't use. Let's say this is a good great UX example from Google, and they are keeping it simple, and they are only having two buttons. One that you are probably never noticed, it's called Feeling Lucky, and one for the search, and they are keeping it simple, and it is the most used web site on the world. Rule number 3: match your system with the real world. This is an example of we all seen maybe in some home, and it is very difficult to know which one will turn on which one of those, because there is no indicator that says that this one is for this one or this one is for this one, and you always need to figure out. So in your designs, make sure your system, for example, your system match how the user perceive the user's brain's perceptions. For example, this is a solution. Now it is very clear that this one will turn on this is the UI and this is the real world. So it is very clear that this one will turn this one and this one will turn this one, because we don't need any explications, because the UI matches the real world. And this is another great example from Mercedes-Benz. And when you can manage the seat controls, for example, if you want to manage the seat controls of the neck, you can move this one forward or back, and it doesn't need any explication, and pretty straightforward. Communication, not decoration. Always keep it keep it straight to the point, and do not use a lot of decoration, because people will ignore all the decoration and focus on the message you want to transmit. Is this a good or bad UX? this is a very bad UX. We will see these examples later. So I'll have a bunch of other examples of a bad or good UX, but I think I don't want to go beyond 30 minutes. So I'll keep the second part of the course in another call. So let's just stop here, and I'll share with you with all the team the video, and we will see the another video for a good or bad UX examples in next call. Okay, guys?
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Okay. Thank you for your presence, and I'll see you in the next call.